Dating an alien sounds exciting until you realize she comes with built-in warning lights. Most guys get passive-aggressive silence. I get bioluminescent mood alerts visible from orbit. When she's calm, her skin glows a soft ocean blue. When she's happy, it turns warm gold, like sunlight through honey. When she's amused, faint sparkles ripple along her arms. It's beautiful. Distracting. Occasionally weaponized. Jealous? Neon pink. Rage? Nuclear purple. The kind of purple that makes trained mercenaries quietly leave the room. The first time I saw the pink glow, we were 3 months into dating and a waitress leaned a little too close while refilling my drink. I thought my girlfriend looked cute with the faint rose tint across her cheekbones. I even told her that. She informed me later that the color indicated territorial agitation. I bought her dessert and promised to stop complimenting waitstaff within a 3-meter radius. To be clear, she isn't irrational. She's just biologically honest. Her species evolved in a high-competition warrior culture where emotional transparency prevented assassinations during courtship. No secrets. No guessing games. If someone wants you, the entire room knows. Humans, on the other hand, specialize in mixed signals, sarcasm, and pretending we're not emotionally compromised while absolutely being emotionally compromised. She finds that fascinating. I find her terrifyingly adorable. Which is why attending the Interstellar Diplomatic Unity Gala together felt like a good idea at the time. The gala was hosted aboard the largest station in the sector, a spiraled masterpiece of glass corridors and floating gardens orbiting a blue-white star. Delegations from 24 species attended. Politicians, trade envoys, military observers, cultural ambassadors. The kind of event where one wrong sentence could spark a trade war. So naturally, humanity sent me as a cultural liaison. Apparently, being the only human currently dating a decorated warrior from one of the most respected combat clans in the quadrant made me symbolically useful. No pressure. She looked devastating that night. Her usual combat leathers were replaced with ceremonial attire, sleek, dark fabric woven with reactive filaments that shimmered when she moved. Her skin glowed a steady, confident gold as we entered the grand hall. Heads turned. Conversations paused. Not because of me. Because of her. She carried herself like gravity worked harder in her presence. Tall, poised, shoulders back, chin lifted slightly. Her eyes scanned the room with calm assessment, cataloging threats out of habit. When she laced her fingers with mine, her glow softened. Gold deepened. That part was for me. You are tense, she murmured quietly. I'm standing between 3 species that consider smiling a dominance display, I whispered back. I think that qualifies. Her lips curved slightly. A faint shimmer danced across her collarbones. Amusement. You are under my protection. That should have been comforting. It was. Mostly. The music swelled as dignitaries mingled beneath crystalline chandeliers that refracted starlight into fractals across the marble floor. Servers drifted past with trays of glowing drinks and molecular cuisine that rearranged itself artistically every few seconds. I did my best diplomatic nod. Smile. Handshake. Nod again. Try not to accidentally insult someone's ancestral brood hierarchy. She stayed close but not possessive. Not yet. Her glow remained steady gold, a subtle sign to the observant that she was content. We were introduced to a delegation from a trade consortium known for their dry, razor-sharp humor. One of their representatives, a tall, silver-skinned diplomat with elongated facial ridges, made a surprisingly accurate joke about humans inventing 3 different measurement systems just to argue about them. It caught me off guard. I laughed. Not flirtatious laughter. Not, I am impressed by your exotic alien charisma. Laughter. Just genuine, startled, diplomatic laughter. The kind that escapes before you remember you're representing your entire species. The moment the sound left my mouth, I felt it. Not a touch. Not a movement. A shift. Her fingers tightened slightly around mine. Subtle. Controlled. I glanced at her. The gold glow had dimmed. Just a little. A faint blush of pink crept along the edges of her neck, barely visible unless you knew what you were looking for. I knew. Oh no. I immediately adjusted my posture. That was culturally insightful, I added awkwardly, as if clarifying the nature of my laughter would reverse biochemistry. The silver diplomat smiled politely, unaware that he had stepped into a live emotional minefield. The pink deepened. Still soft. Still contained. But spreading. She wasn't glaring. She wasn't scowling. Her expression remained regal, composed, almost serene. Which was worse. Because with her species, explosive anger burns purple. Jealousy simmers. Pink means calculation. I did not know humans found trade satire arousing, she said smoothly, her voice calm enough to freeze water. It's not arousing, I whispered quickly. It's statistically humorous. The diplomat excused himself, sensing tension he couldn't identify but wisely avoiding. Now it was just us amid the swirl of music and conversation. Her hand slipped from mine. That was new. She stepped slightly away, posture straight, shoulders squared. The pink intensified, no longer faint but unmistakable, a luminous rose hue tracing her arms like living neon beneath the fabric. Nearby guests began to notice. Bioluminescent shifts were not subtle among her people. Emotional transparency was practically a public broadcast system. I laughed. I said carefully, lowering my voice. At a joke. You displayed teeth, she replied. That's what smiling is. You lean forward. I lean when I'm confused. You maintained eye contact. That's basic politeness. The pink flared brighter for a second before stabilizing. Across the hall, a few members of her clan had turned their heads. Observing. Assessing. I suddenly became acutely aware that this wasn't just relationship tension. This was cultural. Her glow pulsed once stronger. Not purple. Not rage. But the pink was no longer faint embarrassment. It was vivid. Neon. And spreading. She inhaled slowly, steadying herself. The light beneath her skin shimmered like contained lightning. You are mine, she said quietly. Not possessive in tone. Declarative. My heart skipped. That sentence could mean a dozen different things coming from her species. Some symbolic. Some ceremonial. Some legally binding. I swallowed. The pink brightened. And for the first time that evening, the surrounding conversations began to fade, not because the music stopped, but because people were watching. Her glow intensified another shade. Brighter. Hotter. Visible from across the ballroom now. And I had the sudden, terrifying realization that whatever came next was going to be very, very public. The music didn't actually stop. It just felt like it did. Conversations thinned into cautious murmurs as her glow intensified from bright pink to something that looked like a neon sunrise trapped beneath her skin. The polished marble floor reflected the color upward, bathing both of us in a rosy halo that screamed emotional escalation in a language half the galaxy understood instinctively. I understood it too. I just didn't understand what she was about to do with it. She stepped closer. Not fast. Not aggressive. Controlled. Every movement deliberate, warrior poised, shoulders squared as if approaching a ceremonial duel rather than her slightly confused human boyfriend who had committed the crime of laughing at trade humor. My survival instincts whispered that I should say something reassuring. Something romantic. Something that would de-escalate bioluminescent tension levels. Instead, I said, "You're glowing. Brilliant. Diplomatic excellence. Earth should be proud." Her eyes locked onto mine, pupils narrowing slightly, not in anger but in focus. The pink deepened into an electric neon shade that shimmered along her arms and collarbones like living circuitry. "I am aware," she replied. Around us, I noticed subtle shifts. A pair of insected envoys leaned toward one another, antennae twitching in interest. A reptilian military attaché straightened, his armored plates clicking softly. Across the room, two of her clan's representatives had gone completely still. No one intervened. No one spoke. They were waiting. For what? I asked quietly. For clarity, she said. Then she closed the final inch of distance between us. Her hand rose. Slowly. Gracefully. There was no violence in it. No threat. Just inevitability. I had a split second to consider ducking. I did not duck. Her palm pressed flat against the center of my chest. Warm. Warmer than it should have been. Then the glow surged. Light exploded outward from the point of contact in a blinding flare of neon pink that washed over my vision. I heard a collective intake of breath from the surrounding guests. The reactive filaments in her ceremonial attire ignited in response, cascading brighter in synchronized pulses. It wasn't painful. It was electric. A humming vibration beneath my skin, like static spreading through my nerves. She held her hand there for 3 full seconds. 1, 2, 3. Then she withdrew. The glow didn't leave with her. It stayed. I looked down. A radiant, perfectly defined handprint burned against my suit jacket, and through it, as if fabric were irrelevant. 5 long luminous fingers splayed across my chest, bioluminescent light pulsing slowly in steady rhythm. The mark shimmered like living paint. And it was not fading. The silence broke in a ripple. She has bonded him. The whisper came from somewhere to my left. In public. Before witnesses. Territory established. I blinked. Territory? She stood tall beside me, pink glow stabilizing into a proud, steady brilliance. Her chin lifted slightly. Her shoulders relaxed. Satisfied. You marked me, I said carefully. Yes. In front of everyone. Yes. What does that mean exactly? She looked genuinely confused by the question. It means you are not available. I glanced around. Several alien females who had previously been glancing in my direction were now very deliberately not glancing in my direction. One actually bowed her head slightly before turning away. A security officer from a predator species gave me a respectful nod. Someone from the trade consortium raised a glass in acknowledgement. My brain tried to process this socially catastrophic moment. Is this like a promise ring? I asked weakly. A nearby elder from her clan let out a low rumble that might have been laughter. It is a declaration of bond and defense, the elder clarified. No challenge may be issued without first challenging her. Challenge? My pulse quickened. The handprint reacted instantly. The glow intensified. Brighter. Pulsing faster. The crowd murmured again. Her head snapped toward my chest. Why is it increasing? I don't know. I hissed. I'm stressed. The light flared another shade brighter, as if stress were fuel. She stared at the mark, fascinated. It is responding. To what? You. That wasn't comforting. I pressed my hand over the glowing imprint, as if I could smother it. The light bled between my fingers dramatically, turning the gesture into some kind of theatrical display of captured starlight. A human delegate from across the hall leaned toward his colleague and whispered, Is that body paint? Yes, I muttered automatically. Sure. Cultural, glitter. The glitter pulsed violently when I blushed. And I was definitely blushing. Heat crept up my neck, mortification setting in as at least a dozen alien dignitaries studied me like I'd just been upgraded to a protected artifact. She tilted her head slightly, examining the mark with scientific intensity. It should be stable. Well, it's not stable, I whispered. It's having an emotional support meltdown. She placed her hand lightly over the glowing imprint again, not pressing this time, just hovering. The two lights synchronized instantly. Her pink softened slightly. The mark on my chest steadied. The crowd reacted audibly. A ripple of approval. Understanding dawned slowly in her expression. It mirrors your biochemical state, she murmured. Great, I said. So now my embarrassment is a public light show. You are embarrassed? Yes. The glow surged. Brighter. Someone applauded softly. I wished for atmospheric decompression. She withdrew her hand, watching as the mark continued its steady rhythmic pulse, slightly brighter than before. In our physiology, she explained calmly, clearly shifting into educational mode for the benefit of onlookers. A public marking asserts bonded status. It prevents dispute, discourages rivalry, and signals commitment. That's sufficient, I managed. It also signals that harm to you is harm to me. A few security personnel exchanged glances at that. The trade diplomat who had made the joke earlier gave me a respectful incline of his head, as if apologizing for accidentally triggering an interstellar claiming ritual. I laughed. I repeated weakly. You did, she agreed. And this was the response? Her eyes softened just slightly. The pink glow remained vivid, but less sharp. You are desirable, she said simply. I will not risk ambiguity. Something about the sincerity in her voice cut through the chaos. The mark on my chest pulsed once, stronger, warmer. And this time, it wasn't embarrassment. It was something else. The problem was, the entire ballroom could see it. Navigating the gala after the public marking was complicated. Every time I tried to walk, it felt like the neon handprint was broadcasting my location to the entire room. I shifted nervously, hoping people would assume it was some avant-garde fashion choice, but the glow pulsed brighter whenever I moved too fast, or when someone accidentally looked at me with interest. The irony wasn't lost on me. My human skin chemistry made the bioluminescent imprint respond unpredictably, and the more flustered I got, the more attention it drew. The harder I tried to blend in, the more obvious it became that I was, quite literally, a walking billboard of ownership. Her glow, meanwhile, had stabilized into a proud, steady pink. She trailed slightly behind me, watching with the same intensity as a commander observing a battlefield. She wasn't hovering, she didn't need to. The mark was doing the work for her. Every alien in the room who might have considered approaching me was now hesitating, or retreating entirely. I was both relieved and mortified. The humans around me whispered in confusion, clearly thinking it was some form of interstellar body paint trend, while the aliens observed as if I were a rare ceremonial relic under protective custody. I attempted small talk with a group of diplomats. Lovely evening, isn't it? I said, trying to sound casual. The moment my hand brushed against my chest to adjust my jacket, the mark pulsed brighter. Their heads turned simultaneously, eyes widening. I forced a laugh and added, I mean, yes, very, glowing. She is enjoying this. A soft voice whispered in my ear. I froze. My girlfriend had stepped close, letting her golden pink fingers brush lightly against mine. Her glow adjusted subtly with every beat of my pulse. The public acknowledgement strengthens the bond. I swallowed. I didn't know humans could participate in this kind of bonding, I admitted, nervously adjusting my suit. The glow on my chest reacted instantly to my nervousness, pulsing rapidly like a signal flare. A nearby envoy from her clan tilted their head, apparently impressed with the intensity of my involuntary response. You are doing well, she said quietly, the edges of her mouth lifting into a faint, teasing smile. Your biology amplifies the effect. I looked down at the handprint. It wasn't just glowing. It was practically vibrating with life. And it was impossible to ignore. Every time I tried to think of something else, the mark reminded me where I was, what had just happened, and, most importantly, who claimed me. My blush deepened, and as predicted, the light pulsed brighter. A group of alien females approached from across the hall. They stopped mid-step when they saw the mark, their expressions a mixture of awe and careful deference. One whispered something in a language I didn't understand, but the context was clear. This human was not to be trifled with. I gave them a small, awkward smile and tried to act casual, but the glowing handprint refused to let me blend in. Every blink, every nervous inhale made it flare like a miniature sun. My girlfriend leaned slightly closer, her head tilting as she observed the way my skin chemistry interacted with the mark. It is fascinating, she murmured. Humans create unexpected reactions. Fascinating? I groaned internally. It's humiliating. I waved at the crowd helplessly. Please, someone pretend this is normal. She chuckled softly. The sound made her glow flicker slightly gold, a sign of amusement. This is not humiliation, she said calmly. This is acknowledgement. You are mine. That is the point. I glanced down at the handprint again. It pulsed in rhythm with my heartbeat, brightening whenever I thought about how absurd this whole situation was. I started pacing slowly, trying to control my blush, trying to prevent the mark from announcing every minor emotional spike to the entire ballroom. Around us, whispers continued. Someone from the diplomatic corps was taking notes. Another alien reached for a communicator, possibly to record the event. I had no idea whether they were studying this as part of cultural research or reporting it as a security incident. She reached out, her fingers grazing the glowing imprint. The moment her touch met the handprint, the pulse synchronized with her own bioluminescence. The color shifted subtly from neon pink to a warmer hue, like a sunrise merging with a delicate rose. The crowd noticed the change immediately, but this time the reaction was admiration rather than fear. I froze, suddenly aware of how absurdly intimate this moment was. A handprint on my chest was pulsing in time with my girlfriend's emotions, broadcasting a private connection to everyone present. The thought should have been mortifying, but strangely, it was comforting. The glow now felt like a shared heartbeat, a visible tether between us, even in the chaos of a crowded interstellar gala. You see? She said softly. Your reaction strengthens the connection. It is mutual. I swallowed hard. Mutual, huh? The mark responded instantly, pulsing a bit faster, a little brighter, as if acknowledging my acknowledgement. I began to walk again, this time with more confidence. The mark glowed steadily, synchronized with her own golden pink luminescence. Aliens stepped aside respectfully. Humans continued to murmur and whisper, unsure how to interpret the spectacle. I realized something. I wasn't just surviving this public display. I was thriving in it, awkwardly but undeniably. My girlfriend matched every step, her eyes on me with pride. Every time I caught her gaze, the mark on my chest flared gently, reminding me that despite the embarrassment, despite the chaos, this was a declaration of love, protection, and possession in the most literal, luminous sense. By the time we reached the edge of the main hall, I had a strange mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. The mark pulsed steadily, radiant and undeniable. I glanced at her, and she smiled, soft gold and pink blending together. You've adapted well, she murmured. Most would crumble. I gave a small, tired grin. Humans, we adapt. Her glow flickered in amusement and pride, bathing the two of us in a warm, radiant light. The crowd might have thought I was glowing because of embarrassment, or panic, or ritual marking. The truth? I was glowing because I had survived the most bizarre, public display of affection in the galaxy, and I kind of liked it. The handprint throbbed in time with my heartbeat, and for the first time that evening, it felt less like a neon warning sign and more like a badge of honor. I was hers. And somehow, I was okay with the entire universe knowing it. By the time we returned to the main floor, the glow on my chest had settled into a steady rhythm, no longer flaring wildly with every minor emotional twitch. It pulsed gently, a soft neon heartbeat that mirrored her own calm luminescence. I realized that the absurdity of the evening had transformed into something strangely empowering. I was no longer just the human boyfriend caught in a public display of alien territoriality. I was the human boyfriend everyone could see had survived it, and survived it with style, however reluctant. People were still whispering, of course, but the tone had shifted. The awe and confusion had given way to cautious admiration. Alien dignitaries who had earlier recoiled now approached with cautious respect, treating me like a rare specimen worthy of protection rather than ridicule. Even the human delegation seemed impressed in their awkward, stifled way. Somewhere across the room, someone clapped politely, though I wasn't sure if it was congratulatory or just polite galactic etiquette. She stayed close beside me, her eyes scanning the crowd, glowing softly gold with hints of pink at the edges. Every so often, she reached out and lightly brushed my arm or rested a hand on my shoulder, and the mark on my chest responded with a gentle pulse. The effect was hypnotic, a visible tether that connected us amidst the chaos of a crowded interstellar gala. I could feel the rhythm of it, almost like a second heartbeat, syncing with mine in a way that made me feel both calm and completely exposed. Someone from the gala crowd, an insected envoy with too many limbs to count, leaned in and whispered something in rapid clicks and chirps. I had no idea what was said, but judging from the way her glow briefly flickered in amusement and pride, I guessed it was a comment about the effectiveness of her marking ritual. My chest glowed a little brighter in response to the recognition, and I realized with a mixture of embarrassment and thrill that the display was no longer just about jealousy or territory. It had become a public declaration of partnership. I cleared my throat and, half joking, half defiant, said, "Yes. I'm hers. Clearly, everyone can see that now." Her glow shifted instantly, warm gold spreading across her skin with subtle hints of pink. The mark on my chest pulsed in perfect synchrony, as if affirming my words. The nearby aliens murmured, some in quiet appreciation, others in what I hoped was respectful admiration rather than sheer terror. For the first time all evening, I felt proud. Not proud in a human ego sense, but proud in the way that humans feel when they survive something chaotic and alien, and somehow make it work in their favor. A young diplomat from a nearby planet leaned over and asked, in a slightly nervous tone, Is that part of your species bonding ritual?" I gestured vaguely at the glowing handprint. "Something like that," I admitted. "Intergalactic fashion statement, too." She laughed softly, and the sound made her glow shimmer. The pulsing of the mark responded immediately, a bright, rhythmic affirmation. It wasn't just a warning to others anymore. It was a celebration, a visual expression of mutual attachment and pride. I had survived being marked in public by a war-born alien, and in doing so, I had somehow become the center of admiration rather than embarrassment. We moved through the crowd together, her hand lightly brushing mine occasionally. Each touch made the mark respond, subtle flashes that sent waves of warmth through my chest. I caught glimpses of other couples, other interspecies pairings, looking at us with a mixture of fascination and envy. I couldn't help but grin. Humans were adaptable, sure, but tonight, we were dazzling, literally. As the evening drew on, she leaned close and murmured, "I apologize for the sudden intensity." Her glow softened into a warm gold, edges flickering gently with residual pink. "I acted on impulse." I shook my head, smiling. "Impulse or not, it worked." The mark pulsed in agreement, as if on cue. "And honestly, I kind of like it." Her eyes widened slightly, the faintest blush tinting her cheeks despite the golden glow. "You like it?" "Yes," I said, shrugging, trying to appear nonchalant, while internally marveling at the absurdity. "It's a little embarrassing. A lot intense. But seeing everyone respect you, and the connection, it's kind of amazing." The glow on her skin intensified slightly in response, gold mixing with gentle pink, radiating warmth and pride. She leaned closer, resting her forehead against my shoulder, and the mark pulsed again, steady and unyielding. For the first time, I realized it wasn't just a symbol of possession or jealousy. It was a shared heartbeat, a visible emblem of connection that transcended species and logic. Somewhere in the background, the gala continued, a whirl of music, conversation, and interstellar politics. But for us, the universe had narrowed to a single moment, two beings, connected visibly, unapologetically, and entirely in sync. The absurdity of the glowing handprint, the public embarrassment, the chaos of cultural misunderstandings, all of it faded into a warm glow of intimacy, pride, and mutual acknowledgement. "I think it will fade eventually," I said softly, glancing down at the radiant mark. "Maybe," she replied, a teasing glint in her eyes. "Or maybe we should let it linger." I laughed, feeling a wave of warmth spread through me. "I wouldn't mind at all." Her glow brightened, pure gold this time, radiating contentment and pride. The mark pulsed one final time in perfect synchronization, steady and serene. Humanity might not naturally glow in neon shades of emotion, but tonight I understood something important. When humans love, and survive love, they shine in ways even the galaxy can see. And as we moved through the gala together, hand in hand, glowing and inseparable, I realized the truth of it. I was hers. She was mine. And in a universe filled with chaos, politics, and countless species with complicated rituals, nothing else mattered. Not the whispers, not the stares, not the absurd neon glow on my chest. We were taken. Proudly. And unmistakably.